11 people die of heat stroke while waiting outside for hours for an award ceremony in India.
Authorities report about 300 people fell ill at the event. More details on this later in the news. Good evening. I am Ricky Mathay.
And I am Nina Richie Alago Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Now for the headlines. Experts say EDCA sites will boost Philippines' military defense. Taiwan to buy 400 U.S. anti-ship missiles to counter China threats. South Korea, Japan, and United States hold defense drills amid Pyongyang's warnings. And President Vladimir Putin lauds Russian Navy's performance in Pacific drills. Several experts are convinced that the Enhanced Defense Cooperation Agreement, or EDCA sites, can greatly enhance the country's military defense. Experts are confident that EDCA can help improve the quality and capabilities of the Philippines Armed Forces against any form of threat. According to their estimates, this can also help develop skills in military defense and any operations in the country, as well as improve communication using an interoperability system.
So ang purpose ng balikatan is i-develop yung kanilang tinatawag natin na interoperability so that they can work together, they can fight together, magkaintindihan sila sa larangan ng communications, use of weaponry, at magkaroon ng familiarity, no, sa kanilang operations, pamamaraan sa tactics. So it helps both organizations to work together. So in case it's necessary for them to act together as allies, they will act as a team, no? Coordinated sila. Yun ang purpose ng balikatan exercises.
It can be recalled that there was a previous EDCA base in the country in 2016, but it was not fully developed as the previous administration did not allow the construction of structures and the entry of U.S. forces into the country.
Pagpalakas tayo lalo sapagkat nawalan na tayo ng 6 na taon na sana develop na yung 5 EDCA bases. Ngayon, nagkukumahog tayo na ayusin ngayon with the additional 4. So dapat talagang bilisan. Nagulat siguro yung China sapagkat merong commitment na $100 million in 2023 alone to develop these EDCA bases.
The experts also emphasized that other countries should not dictate the decision regarding the EDCA sites. This comes after the statement made by Chinese ambassador to the Philippines, Wang Shilian, that the United States has other intentions. Diplomatic sources say Philippine officials are preparing for the visit of Chinese Foreign Minister Qin Gang later this week. The visit will happen from April 21 to 23. Qin will meet with Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo. As of now, it remains unclear if Qin will meet President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. Qin's visit comes at a time when tensions between China and the Philippines are high due to EDCA.
The Department of Justice Secretary says that Congressman Arnulfo Teves Jr. is declared a terrorist under the law. JD Mahinay tells us more.
Department of Justice Secretary Crispin Remulla defends the designation of Congressman Teves as a terrorist under the law. Secretary Remulla says there is nothing funny about 9 people getting killed in the Roel de Gamos lane. The Secretary insists on the proscription case against Teves for him to be stopped from damaging other people's lives.
Kahit localized yan, terrorism pa rin yan eh. when you create fear among the people, and you plot to kill somebody, that's part of the definition of terrorism.
DOJ firmly believes that the initiative against Teves is under the anti-terror law. Remulla also says the DOJ is only waiting for the approval of the filing against Teves in the Degamo killing before they can proceed with the proscription case at the Court of Appeals and Anti-Terror Council.
We have to write down our case. We have to finish better the proceedings before everything else. We have to finish on the legal theories behind the cases. There are many cases that we're filing and are still about to file. So when everything is said and done, then we can go to the case.
The DOJ says Teves will be given chance to defend himself against the proscription case he's facing in court. The department adds there is also a possibility to request the Anti-Terror Council to freeze Teves' assets after his case is raised to the court. JD Mahinay for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Former Foreign Affairs Secretary Albert Del Rosario has passed away. Initial reports state that Del Rosario suffered a heart attack while on a plane en route to San Francisco, California. 83-year-old Del Rosario served as Philippine ambassador to the United States from 2001 to 2006. He was then appointed as Foreign Affairs Secretary during the term of former President Benigno Aquino from February 2011 to March 2016. Del Rosario played a significant role in filing the arbitral case in The Hague that led to victory against China in 2016. In a statement released by the Department of Foreign Affairs, or DFA, Del Rosario was recognized as a staunch advocate of national security and the promotion of the rights and welfare of Filipinos both in the country and abroad. Foreign Affairs Secretary Enrique Manalo expressed his condolences to Del Rosario's family in a tweet. He described the former official as a consummate diplomat and inspiring leader who served with integrity and unparalleled public service at the DFA. His wife Gretchen Del Rosario and their children survived Del Rosario. No details have been released yet regarding the wake and burial of the former official.
The Philippine National Railways, or PNR, apologizes for some of its trip delays due to a derailment incident near Magsaysay Crossing in Santa Mesa, Manila. PNR Operations Manager Joe Geronimo says the incident happened at 11:30 a.m. on its way to Alabang in Muntinlupa from Tutuban in Manila. The vehicle head went off tracks, crashing into gravel and soil, while the rest of the wagons remained at the railway. PNP personnel and train marshals responded to the incident, which caused traffic along Quirino Avenue. No one was harmed during the incident.
During the bilateral meeting, President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. and Czech Republic Prime Minister Petr Fiala discussed the issue of the West Philippine Sea. Though Marcos did not disclose any information, he said he and Fiala gave importance to the rule of law and democracy. Both leaders also shared a commitment to defense cooperation, trade, education, and labor. Marcos emphasized to Fiala that the Philippines is a strategic location in Southeast Asia. The president said his meeting with Fiala marks an important milestone in the 50 years of diplomatic ties between the Czech Republic and the Philippines.
President Ferdinand Marcos is urged to keep an active role in the government's campaign against illegal drugs. Carl Gonzaga has the details.
An anti-crime group has appealed to President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. to intervene in the campaign against illegal drugs. Volunteers Against Crime and Corruption, or VACC President Arsenio Boy Evangelista made the appeal amidst the controversy surrounding a recent drug bust cover-up. He is referring to the 990 kilograms of shabu seized in Tondo, Manila in October last year, where Police Master Sergeant Rodolfo Mayo Jr. was arrested. In an interview with Net25 TV radio program Ano sa Palagay Nyo, Evangelista says the administration needs to show its teeth to make the campaign against illegal drugs more effective.
BBM should come in now. He has to talk from time to time, giving public dissemination, a strong message, yung certainty of arrest, certainty of dismissal, conviction, hanggang walang nakukulong na makataas na na official dito. Alam mo naman ang basically ang mga Filipinos matatakutin naman yan pag certainty of conviction, arrest.
Evangelista adds that the people and the country are losing in the ongoing conspiracy involving illegal drugs. Moreover, Evangelista says the image of the Philippine National Police or PNP has been tarnished once again. The VHCC praises Interior and Local Government Secretary Ben-Hur Abalos for bringing up the issue, although his revelation could result in animosity within the police force.
VHCC is giving recognition. We salute him. In spite of the top level officers, it will create animosity or yung mga magkakabipresa sila sa mga relationship niya sa PNP organization.
He agrees that someone should be held accountable for this case, even high-ranking officials of the PNP if necessary. Carl Gonzaga for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
Coming up, Taiwan to buy 400 U.S. anti-ship missiles to combat China threat. South Korea, Japan, and the United States hold missile drills. And death toll in Sudan conflict soars to 185. More on these stories when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Kwento ng nababalot sa...
Teka muna, linya ko yata yun. Bakit ikaw na? Abangan po ninyo.
Sa Miyerkules, magandang araw.
O, teka muna, bakit magandang nga? Dapat magandang gabi. Programa ko magandang gabi.
Magandang araw po kasi yung show ko po.
O, pero gabi yung aking programa. Baka magkalituan eh. Anyway, samahan niyo po kami sa kulitan namin ni Sarah Mina sa Miyerkules, alas 10:30 ng gabi.
Dito lang sa Net 25.
At yan po mga kaibigan ang ating mga balitang nagaganap dito po sa aking kinaroroonan. Abangan na lamang ang susunog. Susunog? Bakit susunog? Diba dapat susunod?
Susunog?
Ha?
Susunog kasi! May nasusunog! Nasusunog ang goodwill!
Nasusunog? Ha? Nasusunog? Teka muna, sandali lang. Nagbabaga mga balita. Ang nagaganap ngayon dito sa ating kinaroroonan. Bakit? Anong nangyayari?
Nasusunog ang goodwill!
Nasusunog? Ha?
Attorney, doon sa kusina na sula! Hindi, nasusunog! Sa swimming pool! Sa swimming pool! Ano sa swimming pool? Paano mangyayari sa swimming pool?
Teka muna, sandali lang! Chichinelasin ko kayong lahat. Ano ang pinangyarihan ng sunog? Saan ang galing? Sino nagsunog? Yan po ang malalaman natin mga kasagutan sa Season 2 ng Goodwill.
Halika na! Baka doon sa kusina! Miss Corina, pwede kong pa-shoutout? Sabihin lang, shoutout, Mang Pepe. Mang Pepe, ano ba tayo na nagsusunog din? Okay, basta. Halika.
Welcome back to Mata ng Agila International. Taiwan purchased 400 anti-ship missiles from the United States in response to the perceived threat posed by China. The $1.17 billion missile contract issued by Pentagon will be launched on behalf of Taiwan. The decision comes amid escalating tensions between both countries, with increasing military activity in the Taiwan Strait and surrounding waters. Missiles produced by Boeing are expected to be completed by March 2029. Taiwan is confident that the purchase will continue according to schedule.
Political analysts believe the West is facing a difficult challenge in cutting economic ties with China. Western nations are reportedly restricting specific industries in China, but experts say the United States and its allies also face a backlash when they try to sever ties with China. First on the list are technology dependency and outsourced labor. Another issue is China and Russia's growing ties against the West's response in Ukraine. Meanwhile, many Western politicians and analysts do not believe Ukraine can fulfill its promise to retake Crimea from Russia. Former Kyiv Defense Minister Andrei Zagorodnyuk insisted Western doubt do not mean Ukraine should give up on attacking Crimea. The conflict between Russia and Ukraine, China's refusal to directly condemn Kremlin are other reasons why the West wants to cut economic relations with Beijing.
American authorities arrested 2 men for setting up a Chinese police station in New York City. They also charged dozens of Chinese security officials for a campaign to monitor U.S.-based dissidents. Brooklyn District Attorney Brian Pence says the office performs services like renewing China-issued driver's licenses. But Pence says it has also helped track down and harass fugitives from China.
Unlike typical officers, the MPS officers who have been charged today are not focused on preventing crime. Rather, the complaints charge these MPS officers with engaging in transnational repression schemes targeting members of the Chinese diaspora community in New York City and elsewhere in the United States.
The Chinese police station has not been registered with the U.S. government.
A court said 2 suspected Chinese spies gave a businessman cash in exchange for AUKUS information. The businessman, Alexander Sergo, was refused bail and charged with 1 count of reckless foreign interference. Sergo's penalty carries a maximum 15-year prison sentence. The intelligence involved a deal with the U.S. and Britain to build a fleet of Australian nuclear-powered submarines. The suspected spies also requested details from Sergo about Quad security dialogue.
Last week, North Korea launched one of its most aggressive weapon demonstrations in years. It flight tested the powered fuel intercontinental ballistic missiles, or ICBM. In response, South Korea and the U.S. are conducting joint military drills with warplanes and F-35 fighter jets, which will continue until April 28. South Korea's Navy says 3-way drills took place in international waters off the country's eastern coast. South Korean Navy spokesperson Jang Do-young states that the goal is to improve their response capabilities against ballistic missiles due to nuclear threats. Close companion of leader Kim Jong-un, Navy Marshal Ri Pyong-chol, warns that the U.S. should stop at once its political and military provocations. The United Nations Security Council discusses banning North Korea from engaging in any ballistics testing activities. In March, South Korea and the U.S. conducted their biggest field exercises in years. South Korea and Japan met for their first security meeting of senior diplomats and defense officials following a 5-year hiatus. Japan stresses the need to empower the trilateral cooperation due to Pyongyang's missile activities.
Spokesperson Wang Wenbin believes the G7 meeting disregarded China's solemn position. The G7 expressed opposition to any unilateral attempts to change the status quo by force or coercion in East and South China Seas. Japanese Foreign Minister Yoshimasa Hayashi asserted the importance of peace in Taiwan as indispensable element for the security and of the international community. But Wang says the bloc grossly interfered in China's internal affairs and maliciously slandered and smeared China.
中方坚决反对美方诋毁、污蔑、抹黑， 大搞政治操弄，恶意炮制所谓跨国镇压叙事，并公然对中国执法和网信部门官员提起诉讼。美国长期通过秘密监视、非法监听、全球追捕、幕后交易等手段打压异己，跨国镇压的帽子，美国自己戴再合适不过。
President Vladimir Putin hailed Russian Navy's high-level performance in Pacific drills. Defense Minister Shoigu reports 167 warships, including 12 submarines and 89 aircraft, and 25,000 troops were deployed. This was to test the Pacific Fleet's readiness to repel aggression. Shoigu adds Russia's nuclear-capable long-range strategic bombers will fly to imitate strikes against enemy ships in the Central Pacific Ocean. The Defense Ministry notes some sea would be closed to sea and air traffic for the length of practice torpedo and missile launches and artillery exercises. This includes the Sea of Okhotsk, Peter the Great Bay in the Sea of Japan, and Avacha Bay.
G7 foreign ministers vowed severe costs for those helping Russia wage war in Ukraine. This after the group's meeting in Karuizawa, Japan. The ministers warned there can be no impunity for war crimes and other atrocities such as Russia's invasion. The envoy's communique was prepared as a template for global leaders to use at a G7 summit that will be held in Hiroshima next month. The ministers also noted Beijing's militarization activities in the South China Sea. The group also slammed Russia's threat to put nuclear weapons in Belarus.
これは国際秩序の根幹を揺るがす暴挙でありまして、断じて認められないと考えております。欧州とインド太平洋の安全保障、これは不可分でありまして、私自身、ウクライナは明日の東アジアかもしれないという危機感を持っております。
The European Union has denounced bans imposed by Poland and Hungary on imports of grain and other food from Ukraine. Poland and Hungary imposed a ban on products including grains, fruits and vegetables, meats, sugar and dairy products to preserve their agricultural region. Ukrainian grains, which are cheaper, affect Poland's and Hungary's local markets. The European Union says the ban is unacceptable. Last year, Russia's invasion of Ukraine hampered the flow of Ukrainian grains to Black Sea ports, bombarding the Central European market as a result. Polish Economic Development and Technology Minister Waldemar Ruda aims to talk with Ukraine to make sure the product will not end up in the local market again.
A Russian dissident has found out the high price of criticizing the Kremlin. A court has sentenced Vladimir Karamurza to 25 years in a high-security prison on treason and other charges. Leaders and supporters immediately condemned the punishment. It's the longest sentence imposed on an opposition figure in recent years. A Moscow court finds the 41-year-old guilty of spreading misinformation about the Russian army. It also says he had links to an undesirable organization. Karamurza smiled and gestured to his supporters to write to him. In his last words in court last week, he said he stood by his political statements. These include those he made against the Russian offensive in Ukraine. He says he does not repent for any of it.
Canada is preparing to hand over a confiscated Russian AN-124 plane to Ukraine. This after Ukrainian Prime Minister denies Shmyhal's visit to Canada and meeting with its counterpart Justin Trudeau. The spokesperson for Global Affairs Canada, James Emmanuel Wanke, says he could not comment on the potential asset seizures. However, Wanke notes that Canada earlier this month enlisted the plane's owner Volga Dnieper Group to its list of sanctioned Russian entities. In Canada, it has a law that allows the seizure, forfeiture, disposal and redistribution of assets belonging to sanctioned individuals and entities.
Washington condemned Brazilian President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva for accusing the United States of encouraging the war in Ukraine. Lula earlier said the United States should start talking about peace to end the conflict between Russia and Ukraine. U.S. National Security Council spokesman John Kirby alleged Lula of parroting Russian and Chinese propaganda. Kirby insisted Lula's comments are simply misguided. Fighting continues to rage in the northeastern African nation of Sudan. Explosions rocked the capital of Khartoum for a third day, with the death toll now at 185. The violence erupted Saturday. This after weeks of tension between rival generals who seized power in 2021 and headed up the military and the paramilitary group. The conflict has seen airstrikes, tanks on the streets, artillery fire, and heavy gunfire in crowded neighborhoods. The fighting has virtually shut down the capital. Streets are nearly deserted in Khartoum and other cities. The violence has forced terrified civilians to stay in their homes. There are no signs the fighting will end soon.
Meanwhile, the European Union's Foreign Affairs chief says the EU's ambassador to Sudan has been attacked in his home. Joseph Borrell did not give any details of any injuries to the envoy. On Twitter, Borrell called the attack a gross violation of the Vienna Convention security of diplomatic premises and staff. He says the safety of diplomats is the responsibility of Sudanese authorities. Borrell adds Sudan has an obligation to provide proper protection under international law. The ambassador is Aidan O'Hara, an Irish diplomat, but he is reported to be okay. Meanwhile, Brazil rejected Washington's criticism that President Luiz Inácio Lula da Silva is parroting Russian and Chinese propaganda. Foreign Minister Mauro Vieira said he does not agree with the U.S. National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby's statement. Despite Lula's comments about the United States, Brazil still seeks to forge closer ties with Washington. Lula even visited U.S. President Joe Biden last February.
Up next, UK Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces probe by ethics watchdog. Heathstroke kills 11 at India Awards event. And French zoo opens major bird enclosure. Stay tuned for more stories around the globe when Mata ng Agila International returns.
This portion is brought to you by Robic Builders, Quezon City Motor Vehicle Inspection Center.
Expose, viral at exclusive. Mga reklamo at problema na napapanood at na-post sa social media. Ngayon, aaksyonan na rin ng responde na isa isumbong. Mag-text sa 0915-415-1035 o mag-email sa responde@net25.com. Pwede rin kayo magpadala na mensahe sa ating pong Facebook page at Net25TV. Walang problema na hindi mabibigyan po ng solusyon. Basta't may agad na responde. Sabado, alas 6 hanggang alas 7 ng gabi. Dito lamang sa Net25.
Papua New Guinea had laid to rest one of its former prime ministers, Rabi Namaliu. Net 25's Eko Hortaleza Quinola reports.
Papua New Guinea is in public holiday today to pay respect to the former Prime Minister, Honorable Rabi Namaliu. Sir Rabi, as he is fondly called, is the fourth head of the nation from July 1988 to July 1992 under the Pangu Party. During his time as Minister of Foreign Affairs and Trade from 1982 to 1984, he negotiated a treaty of mutual respect, friendship, and cooperation with Indonesia to address the issue of incursion of the Indonesian military into Papua New Guinea, which at that time created a humanitarian crisis in Papua New Guinea. He was instrumental in having Papua New Guineans study in Australia as he initiated the Australian-funded scholarship scheme. Joining Sir Rabi's family and friends are department heads, chief executive officers, public officials, and the residents of Papua New Guinea here in APEC House.
The key thing for me was that he was a very technically competent leader. He was sort of in the same caliber as the late Sir Mekere. So I think that's something that we miss, and they were both gentlemen.
He's a man that was part of a group that provided us with independence here in Papua New Guinea. And to always remember the history of Papua New Guinea and how we became independent. And hopefully that story can carry on for generations to come here in Papua New Guinea.
His body will be laid to rest alongside former Prime Minister Sir Mekere Moralta and Sir William Skate at the Independence Hill. Eko Hortaleza Quinola, Port Moresby, Papua New Guinea, mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
British Prime Minister Rishi Sunak faces a probe over declaration of interest. Sunak faces a slew of questions by the members of parliament after failing to declare his wife, Akshata Murthy, shares links to a childcare agency. Labour Deputy Leader Angela Rayner suspected Sunak of evading property scrutiny and challenged the PM to commit to publishing the register before Mayo's election. Parliamentary Commissioner Daniel Greenberg will investigate whether Sunak violated the members of Parliament's Code of Conduct. The probe is perceived to be an embarrassment for Sunak, a highly respected person who swore to restore government integrity.
U.S. President Joe Biden's ultimatum to the Democratic Unionist Party to return to power-sharing arrangements in Northern Ireland or risk losing U.S. business investment is deemed complex by U.S. business leaders. The need for political and economic stability in the region is cited as essential by these leaders. Northern Ireland is a special place, said Prime Minister Rishi Sunak. This is for having access to both the EU single market and the UK's internal market. Despite the president's urging, the DUP is refusing to reconvene the Northern Ireland Assembly due to their discontent with the post-Brexit Northern Ireland Protocol. While a reconvened Stormont would mean more legislative stability, the UK's flatlining GDP and reputation are major factors in investment decisions. Northern Ireland saw £1.5 billion of American investment in the past decade and had the second most FDI projects per capita or out of all UK regions in 2021. 84-year-old Kansas City native Andrew Lester is set to face 2 felony charges for the shooting of a black teenager. The 16-year-old boy, identified as Ralph Jarl, has been sent to pick up his twin brothers at a friend's house but went to the wrong place. The boy was shot outside twice in his left forehead and right arm, according to the probable cause statement. Sources are looking into whether race played a role in the shooting. Announced on Monday by Clay County prosecuting attorney Zachary Thompson, Lester is facing charges of assault in the first degree and armed criminal action. A weekend rally was held by the community and family members in front of Lester's house, calling for all charges to be filed.
French Prime Minister Emmanuel Macron takes to the airwaves to defend his highly unpopular pension reforms. But his television address does little to ease tensions. As Macron speaks, thousands gather outside town halls in France, banging saucepans in a bid to drown out the speech. They say the president has not listened to them for the past 3 months, adding there is no point in listening to him. Macron says he regrets that no consensus has been found on his move to increase the retirement age from 62 to 64. His speech did little to quell the anger of unions post the change. Demonstrators take to the streets in Paris, setting fire to dumpsters. Police respond with tear gas. Union leaders rejected an invitation to talk with Macron. They say he is out of touch with reality. Meanwhile, Italian authorities found 2 tons of cocaine floating in the sea off the coast of Sicily. The drug is worth an estimated 400 million euros or more than 24 billion pesos. A Navy surveillance plane spotted the drugs floating in the water. Police intercepted 70 packages that had been tied together, each containing 1,600 bricks of the drug. The shipment had a tracking device. Authorities believe the drugs had been dropped off by a cargo ship and left for traffickers to bring ashore. Police say this is one of the largest drug hauls in Italy's history.
Eleven people died of heat stroke in India while waiting for hours in the sun for a government-sponsored award ceremony. The dead are among an estimated 1 million spectators who waited in the western city of Mumbai. Another 20 people ended up here at this hospital. Some 300 people fell ill at the event. Government officials later went to the hospital to visit the survivors. The temperature reached close to 38 degrees Celsius with high humidity. The country's interior minister praised the crowds for waiting for so long. The government has promised compensation for the victims' relatives, but the opposition Congress party accuses the government of negligence and says it should face criminal charges.
A crash involving a passenger and a freight train left at least 40 people injured. The incident happened at Hasanpur railway station in Comilla, southeastern Bangladesh. The Sonar Bangla Express train traveling from Chittagong heading to Dhaka derailed 5 coaches. Initial reports say that signal failure may have been the cause of the crash. Hasanpur station master has been missing since the incident. Nangalkot station master Jamal Hussain confirmed the collision and sent a rescue train to respond to the report.
Plastic pollution is damaging England's coastal region, destroying sea life and affecting the environment. In London, United Kingdom, Sarah Alcantara reports.
On an early spring afternoon, Tregantle Beach is bathed in a dazzling light reminiscent of a painting by British landscape artist J.M.W. Turner as sea, sky, and sun merge. This is brought by the nurdles, or sometimes called mermaid tears, that can be found in the Cornwall sand. Just the size of a lentil, nurdles are the tiny bits of plastic used by industry to manufacture plastic products. When spilled to industrial facilities, they can be swept into the sewers and then out into the sea. According to a UK's Fauna and Flora International, up to 11.5 trillion nurdles end up in the ocean yearly. These nurdles circulate on ocean currents after being released into the ecosystem and frequently wash up on beaches and other sites. These tiny pellets absorb harmful pollutants, and since they resemble to fish eggs, birds and other sea creatures ended up eating them. As a result, this will negatively affect the entire food chain. Volunteers from different backgrounds took part in cleanup drive in the beach of southwestern Cornwall region to aid in our environment. Environmental activist Rob Arnold used a device made from plastic basin, large grid, and set of tubes that he invented himself to collect nurdles and other microplastic that will be used for his artworks. Arnold's most notable work using the nurdles is a 1.7 meter or 5.5 foot high sculpture, similar to the Moai statues of Easter Island with a mysterious past. The work is on display at the National Maritime Museum Cornwall in coastal town of Falmouth under the title A Lesson from History. Some of the noodles go to artistic creations, while others are used to raise awareness in schools. The rest, which cannot be recycled, end up in the rubbish and are incinerated. Reporting from London, United Kingdom, I am Sara Alcantara for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
In central France, the Beauval Zoo in Saint-Agnan inaugurated its South American great aviary, which is claimed to be the largest bird enclosure in Europe. There are more than 500 birds and around 30 mammals housed in the 36-meter-high aviary, covering an area of 1.6 hectares. Visitors can view the birds through walkways and bridges suspended at a height of 6 to 10 meters above the ground. According to its director, Beauval received more than 2 million visitors in 2022.
Coming right up, China's first quarter jumps 4.5% after scrapping zero COVID policies. SpaceX scrubs first test flight of Starship aircraft. And delegates crowded the Net 25 booth at the PCTA Convention 2023. Find out more about these news stories when Mata ng Agila International returns.
Ate, yung sing-sing nyo, kumakanta ba yan? Ayun, no? Kahit summer ka lang, may coconut eh. Itlog na maalat. May ano kaya ito, ate? Asukal.
Anong liquid o likido ang pwedeng ipambayad?
Kaya pwede patulong yung bola po.
Ate, pwede pa, no? Hawak lang. Sisintas lang ako. Ay, ate, nawala yata yung gagaba. Ate, yung gagaba.
Hi mga Connect 25! Ako po si Isabel de los Santos ng Quezon City. Magkano po magpakarga? Sige po, magpakarga po.
Oh no! Zero only! Sa Net 25!
Official data shows China's economy grew much better than expected in the first 3 months of the year. Analysts say the 4.5% figure is significantly higher than the 3.8% forecast. Sources say a key driver of Beijing's economy was retail sales hikes. A government official says a smooth transition from COVID policies to new phase was secured in a short time. Very fresh news indeed. Chinese state media said 21 people have died in a fire at Beijing hospital. The fire also forced the evacuation of at least 71 patients. Authorities said the fire has been extinguished quickly. Rescue work has also been completed. The cause of the accident is still under investigation.
A disappointing day for SpaceX. Last Monday, the company scrubbed the launch of the most powerful rocket ever built because of a technical issue. This was supposed to be the first test flight of a rocket designed to send astronauts to the moon, Mars, and beyond. Blastoff had been set for 8:20 a.m. local time from a launch pad in southern Texas. Just minutes before liftoff, a pressurization problem in the booster stage prompted SpaceX to delay the launch. It will be at least 2 days before they can try again. NASA picked the Starship spacecraft to transport astronauts to the moon in late 2025. Tech entrepreneur Elon Musk confirms the creation of an artificial intelligence model to counter ChatGPT, the prominent AI chatbot backed by Microsoft. He plans to name it Truth GPT, as it will become an AI system focused on the search for the truth. According to Musk, the idea is that an AI that wants to understand humanity will be less likely to destroy it. The billionaire has criticized ChatGPT, saying the popular chatbot was being taught to be politically correct, which he plans to counter with his own AI creation. Musk also launched a new AI company called XAI Corp last March 9, according to a Nevada business filing.
Sacramento Kings grabbed the big win as they conquer crowd favorites Golden State Warriors with a score of 114-106. Sabonis and Fox combined for 48 points, carrying the Kings to defeat Curry and the Warriors in a close fight game. Meanwhile, Philadelphia Sixers took down the Brooklyn Nets with a score of 96-84. Tyrese Maxey took over the game with 33 points as he outplayed Cameron Johnson with 28 points. The Sixers and Kings are 2-0 in their playoff series games.
Delegates crowded the Net25 booth at the PCTA Convention 2023. The crowd loved the addition of the Spin the Wheel, which is featured in various Net25 programs. Avin Pasqua has the details.
Delegates of just concluded PCTA Convention 2023 swarmed the Net25 exhibit. Spin the Wheel, featuring various Net25 programs, was a hit here. There was also an indoor golf stimulator that seemed like an extension of the first Net25 Golf Cup. Winners of these games were given Net25 Get items such as notebooks, tumblers, umbrellas, and many more. Meanwhile, the plenary discussions at the convention were informative. Topics discussed included network security design and architecture, as well as NIST cybersecurity network. Various ways to further improve internet connections in the country were also discussed.
Technology has given us speed, and speed has improved productivity. Let's not attribute that to the pandemic. Instead, let us be grateful for the internet, for it made the lockdown bearable. Here at the 2023 PCTA Convention, expect to take on the PCTA Internet Exchange, a separate business enterprise created by your PCTA. It is a new and exciting development in our industry.
PCTA thanked supporters of the organization's goals and advocacies, including Net25.
PCTA is coming back stronger, different from before, stronger than before. That begins right here at the PCTA 2023 Convention, where the PCTA Internet Exchange is waiting to take all of us to a higher level as internet service providers. This convention heralds a new day for our industry. The PCTA IX delivers on our future. It is our avatar to connectivity. I'm happy to welcome back our partners in the industry as they show their support for this convention. Thank you, PCTA Internet Exchange Incorporated, Globe Business, Channel News Asia, Creative Programs Incorporated, Net25, Total Information Management Corporation.
Dr. Venancio, president of PCTA, said creating TV content for different age groups is still important. Networks and cable operators should also adjust to new technologies.
Regarding the content, siyempre iba din naman yung genre na ano nila, yung gusto nila. Saka most of the young people, they prefer yung mga when they wanted what they wanted to see, yun ang gusto nila. So unlike the linear platform, more on parang predicted na naka-schedule yung panonoorin. Oo, yung mga ganon. So there's no specific or in general I would say na ano yung preference talaga. But the preference right now is I believe it's based on the age group and also the interest of that individual.
Net25 also thanked the PCTA leadership along with a call to be a part of the general entertainment category.
Thank you, PCTA, for this opportunity because we were able to engage with cable operators, with the industry of the latest programming of Net25. Some of the PCTA members have already recognized the new positioning of the network. Net25 offers general entertainment with its wholesome, family-oriented programming. And thus, this is our request to members of the PCTA to move Net25 in your channel assignments to the general entertainment cluster of your programming.
Many cable owners promise to improve their services to deliver quality TV content to their subscribers, such as Net25 programs. Vin Pascua for Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.
BTS J-Hope is set to start his mandatory South Korean military service on Tuesday. He is the second member to enlist and will be serving for at least 18 months in the military. The Korean star hosted his last live stream on Weverse on Friday, bidding farewell to his fans. J-Hope shared photos on his Instagram sporting his newly debuted buzz cut ahead of his enlistment, with messages assuring fans that he will be back.
President Ferdinand Marcos Jr. once again proposes marriage to First Lady Lisa Araneta Marcos. In commemoration of the first couple's 30th wedding anniversary, President Marcos shared on his social media account photos of his wedding proposal. The proposal was accompanied with a short letter that said, "Make all my dreams come true. Marry me again. Happy anniversary." In his tweet, President Marcos said that his wife said yes again. The president also added that in the 30 years, he has not seen himself with anyone else but First Lady Lisa. Marcos added that the First Lady will always be the girl of his dreams.
And to continue this week's journey, here's a quote from former First Lady of the United States, Eleanor Roosevelt. "Do not stop thinking of life as an adventure. You have no security unless you can live bravely, excitingly, imaginatively, unless you can choose a challenge instead of competence."
Speaking of challenge, it's always yourself that you should challenge, right? You should not compete with other people. Otherwise, you can't really call yourself better. Because it'll keep happening and happening and happening. It never ends.
That's correct. I agree with you, my dear. Always challenge yourself to be the better version of yourself.
Definitely.
And that's a wrap for tonight's news. Catch the latest updates on our social media channels. I am Ricky Matay.
And I am Nina Richie Alagaw Flores. This is Mata ng Agila International. Trusted, connected, on point.